Peace and Black Power family. It's Brother Agyei Tyehimba from Harlem Liberation School, where we teach black people to wake up, clean up, and stand up. Oh, family, I tell you, I'm in an undisclosed location in another state right now. Um, Definitely very hot. Definitely thought I've been laying up in a nice, cool situation. I was like, you know what? Let me get out here and get to work. And I do want to remind everyone watching who will see it live or the recorded version of this video that I am finished with the first draft of my 6th book. My last book was Leadership, Philosophy, Ethics, and Practice. This book is going to be is kind of going in a different direction. I don't want to really even talk about what it's about at this point. But that book, hopefully, I'm aiming to have that book released on August 17th in honor of the great and majestic Marcus Mosiah Garvey for his birthday. August 17th should be the release date. I'll talk more about the book in subsequent broadcasts, but today I wanted to talk about something that my queen gave me an idea about a while ago. She said, so many people who are new to consciousness, or even people who have been conscious for a while, there's a lot of terms that they don't know. There's a lot of really key terms that people hear it and don't really know what it's referring to, or they have a misunderstanding of what a certain word means. And I think that's a good idea from Queen. I think I am going to start that with this particular video. And that what we're going to talk about today is there's a difference between being reactive versus being reactionary. And I hear people confuse the terms often. They are two totally different words with two totally different meanings. Okay. If black people, now this is a scenario, black people only come together when one of us is shot by the police, one of us dies at a funeral or something like that, some might say we're being reactive. We're responding to something. We're reactive. Now, reactive would be the opposite of proactive. Proactive meaning that you do something of your own volition, of your own free will, without a particular response to something. You're doing it because it needs to be done, because you think it's important. And actually, being reactive is not always necessarily a bad thing. Many of our organizations in our history came about as a reaction or response to white supremacist policies and practices. So I don't want to paint the picture that reacting to something is always bad. It becomes kind of dysfunctional if you're constantly in a state of reacting, because if you're always responding to other people, guess what you never get to do? You never get to set the tone and the agenda for yourself. You're always responding to what other people do. And through that, keeping you in reactive mode, people control you, actually, right? They know what you're going to do because they can predict how you will react or respond. Okay, so that reactive is simply talking about when somebody responds to something. You're being reactive. Don't be so reactive. You might have heard a parent say, don't feel you got to respond. Somebody gives an insult. Somebody doesn't like your work, or somebody's talking about your favorite artist in a demeaning way. You don't have to respond. You don't have to react. You don't have to react. That's a choice, right? So reactive, again, is about your choice to respond to something. That could be a positive thing. It could be a negative thing. It could be a wasteful thing. It could be a productive thing. Reactionary is not the same as being reactive. Reactionary is more of a political concept. A reactionary is a person who is counter-revolutionary. So, for instance, a reactionary might be somebody who's pushing this respectability politics on us. We're saying we're protesting police misconduct and brutality. We're protesting being sent off to unethical wars. We're protesting violence against our bodies and minds, right? And here you got some of us in the community like, listen, we kill ourselves more than white people do. Maybe we gotta look at we don't know that to be true. We gotta look at the facts and do the research. Maybe that's true. But even if that's true, even if we do kill ourselves more than white people, does that mean we don't protest police brutality? That's reactionary. In other words, you're getting in the way of important revolutionary and political thought and action. One actually has nothing to do with the other. Or if you say, well, if them young boys pull their pants up, then the cops wouldn't be hitting them upside the head. Huh? So what you're saying is we shouldn't protest police brutality against our young brothers or sisters because of how they dress? Or they shouldn't wear their hair in braids or locks or natural hairstyle because it may make police officers or other people feel uncomfortable? That's reactionary. Or the suggestion that the reason why black people are, the reason why there was enslavement in Africa is because Africans committed some type of sin, and this was God's punishment. That's a reactionary position. So reactive is more describing an action. You're responding to something. Whereas when you're talking about being reactionary, you're kind of talking about it like an ultra-conservative would be reactionary. The Project 2025, which is this 930-page document by the Republican Party that they're going to give to, if Trump wins the presidency, they're going to give him this playbook. And the policies in that playbook are reactionary. It's talking about how to suppress people's right to vote. It's talking about being very oppressive and very disgustingly violent with immigrants. It's talking about getting rid of prison reform. It's talking about getting rid of constitutionally protected rights of our kids in public schools and taking the funding away. It's talking about making it increasingly difficult for poor people in need to have access to what we call food stamps or other social services, health care. That's reactionary. People who are revolutionary, or let's even just say people who are radically progressive, they want the people who say America is not the best. It could be better, and these are some things we need to improve. Or people like me who are more like, no, America's rotten to the core. And most of his institutions are racist and sexist and classist and ageist and need to be dismantled and completely redone. And we may need a territory of our own, right? Whichever position is saying that people who get in the way of that type of people saying, let's move forward. Let's challenge this. Let's put an end to injustice. Let's make sure that people who are sick get health care. Let's make sure people who are starving get food. And here you got this group of people say, nah, man, if they would have made the right choices in life, they wouldn't be starving. What? Really? That's reactionary. And so I hope that I didn't want to get too deep with it. But so when you're speaking from this point on, from today forward, you'll know the difference between reactive and reactionary. You'll know that when somebody's on social media and they're posting ugly things about you, smearing your name, putting up false things about you, and you start doing the same back, you're being reactive. You're responding. But if you take a position that is anti-people, that is against helping people in need, that's supporting war and violence, and supporting taking people's land, forcing your language on people, that's making one group in a society superior to another, that, my friends, is reactionary. And there's a big difference. So now you know. That'll be our first video in the Harlem Liberation School's Political Glossary series. Thank y'all for listening, man. Hope you have a beautiful day. Enjoy it, and please stay cool because it's hot out here. Peace.